And welcome to the largest tidal habitat restoration project California has ever seen. My name is James Newcomb, and I'm serving as a Deputy Director over a portfolio of natural infrastructure projects at Department of Water Resources. And I'm honored to be your MC today as we celebrate both the completion of Lookout Slough and really a new way of delivering multi-benefit projects throughout our state. We really have an epic day ahead of us, thanks to all the planners that made this happen. It's going to be filled with stories of collaboration, determination, and vision that have brought us to this incredible moment. And then also, speaking of visions, I hope that you all caught the Vogel Slough project on your way in. It's about a 60-acre site that was restored in 2022, and it serves as a really good example for what these 3,400 acres are going to look like over the coming months. So today we'll start with our first breach, and we'll start to activate the tidal floodplain here for the first time in over 100 years. So today we're here to celebrate the project, but we're also here to honor the collective work of you all today. This large audience was really hand-selected because whether it was indirectly or directly, you all created a positive impact that helped us get to this point today. And for a moment, at least, I'd like to reflect on that work and recognize that it wasn't easy. Not too long ago, just down the road in Dixon, a group of dedicated public servants got in a room with highly interested parties, all of which had their individual ideas about how to optimize this landscape. And that was when things really started to get real for Lookout Slough. And you all made a collective choice to lean into the conflicts that were there, that you knew were going to be there with a multi-benefit project when you're trying to achieve ecological improvements, flood safety, recreation, and preservation of agriculture. You all recognized that the way through all those challenges was to strengthen partnerships and land on some kind of shared vision. And through that group and the people here today, and through an enormous amount of work, in November of 2020 came about with the final EIR that delivered a project design that was really reminiscent of all the voices that helped shape it. And it was a design that we think is going to stand the test of time, even in the face of climate change. We're going to hear a little more about how this work happened, but make no mistake, this was the result of an incredible amount of effort, of an ungodly amount of public servants that were all working together to meet challenge after challenge. And then finally, on June 30th, 2022, the monumental shift occurred when we went from planning to construction. And many of you were there, putting shovels into the ground, bringing this vision to reality. And I'm told that eventually Adam replaced those shovels with heavy equipment, and that's what actually allowed for us to get to where we are today. And it's really great to be here with you all. And not only just to look back on the work that's been accomplished, but to think about how we can apply what we've learned to new projects throughout the state. I also hope you're ready to party. I'm told that there is a lager here called Lookout Lager, maybe I've got the name right, that was actually brewed by Jackrabbit Brewing with YOLO bypass rice. So that's your carrot for sitting through this, and I'll have a drink with you all at the end of this. But first, we're going to hear from some of the leaders that really helped materialize projects like this, and including Secretary Crowfoot, Adam Davis, and Supervisor Mashburn. These are people that are really setting the trajectory for our natural resource future in this region and for California. And before we dive into their stories, I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge some of the special guests that I've seen. Apologies if I miss anybody, but I did recognize that our Director of Department of Fish and Wildlife, Chuck Bonham, is here. We've got State Water Board Delta Water Master Jay Ziegler, Solana County Supervisor John Vasquez, and our Central Valley Flood Protection Board members Brian Johnson and Betty Andrews. And of course, I took note, I know I'm going to leave some of you off, but there are really some legends in the habitat restoration world that really started to launch this Lookout Slough project that are no longer with DWR, the likes of which include Dr. Ted Summer, Chris Chernell, Bill Harrell, Tim Smith, and Dennis McEwen. And I think I speak for the team that's still working on I speak for the team that's still working on Lookout Slough, as we're honored to be able to kind of pick up in the path that you've created for us. So we're going to start today the way we started at groundbreaking, And that's with gratitude for the land on which we stand and for our partners, the Yochadihi Wintu Nation, who have been an integral part of this journey. And to help us honor that, please welcome to the podium DWR's Tribal Affairs Office Executive Manager, Anacita Agustinez.
Good morning. Yat Bene is in my traditional language a member Dene, which is a citizen of the Navajo Nation. Chairman Roberts was unable to join us today due to another commitment, but with his permission and the permission of the elected leadership of Yochadehi Wintu Nation, I've been asked to share these words. For thousands of years, this land has been home of Patwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Patwin tribes, the Quetzaldihi Band of Wintu Indians of the Colusa Indian Community, Quetzaldihi Wintu Nation, and Yochadihi Wintu Nation. Patwin ancestors lived in villages spread across this territory that spans from Sonoma Valley in the west to the Sacramento River in the east, and from just south of Clear Lake in the north to San Pablo Bay in the south. Our people traveled among these villages for ceremonies and trade. Footpaths led by these journeys laid the foundation for some of our modern roads, such as California State Route 16, which is now the main road along Cache Creek. This land was rich in animal and plant resources. Tule elk and antelope grazed in abundance, salmon ran to rivers, and oak groves dotted the grasslands. Subsistence was based on hunting and fishing, as well as the gathering of acorns, clover, wild oats, manzanita berries, and other native plants. We maintained this healthy environment with controlled burns, which stimulated new green grass for the herds, and it produced more seeds of native grasses and wildflowers for collection to eat. As Patwin people, the protection of cultural sites and traditions teach respect for the environment and guides the management of cultural sites. So on behalf of Department of Water Resources, I wish to acknowledge the partnership that DWR has established with Yochadihi Wintu Nation and their Cultural Resources Department. Through this project and many other ongoing projects within the tribe's ancestral land, DWR has worked very closely with the tribe in the protection of cultural resources. And tribal cultural resources are defined as sites, places, or objects with cultural value. And cultural sites can be archaeological, such as village sites or cemeteries, historical sites, such as gathering areas for basket-making material or medicines, or traditional sites, such as a place where specific cultural events have occurred. The Yochadihi Wintu Nation takes a proactive approach to protecting its cultural resources. And the tribe has developed various technologies to manage their culturally important data and to store their records on GIS database that displays the multiple levels of geographic data on map layers. And these are resources that allows tribal monitors, who we work very closely with, to access this information quickly and easily to make informed decisions while they're on the ground on these projects conducting in real-time tribal monitoring. And these are decisions that will affect how we work closely with our partners to protect the impacts on cultural resources. The tribe has also created a Tribal Historic Resource Center that resembles the California Historical Resources Information System, which is used to maintain and monitor all information regarding their archaeological and historic resources. The Patwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land for over many centuries. It has been cherished and protected, and now the tribe looks forward to the success of projects such as this and many other projects the tribe is monitoring. I know I speak not only for the Department of Water Resources, but for each of us, the local, the regional, federal, and state partners who are here. And we are honored and grateful to be here today on the traditional Patwin lands of Yochadihi Wintu Nation and to be guided through indigenous knowledge, the continued protection of the land, the fish, the plant species, and these sacred waters. Thank you. Ahehe.
Anacita, thank you for those remarks and also for all the work you do to help establish these meaningful relationships. Okay, I'm excited to introduce this next phase of our celebration and our first key speaker. You all know him. He has a breadth and depth of knowledge that could only be acquired through a deep curiosity, appreciation, and understanding of our state's natural resources. I've had the opportunity to work with Secretary Crowfoot on YOLO bypass issues down to the Salton Sea, and I've always appreciated the way he empowers his teams to complete ambitious but necessary work. He's here today to talk about the important biodiversity aspects of the Lookout Slough project, as well as the need to optimize multiple benefits on a single project. So please give a warm welcome for California Secretary of Natural Resources, Wade Crowfoot.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful day as we look out on this water, and what an important day. I think I've never been more excited to give a speech in front of an excavator before. And I was joking with the guys from Odin, how did they draw straws to see who got to breach the levee? It's pretty incredible. I want to begin by invoking a friend and partner, our Department of Water Resources Director, Carla Namath. Carla could not be here today, stuck at home under the weather, but we were talking last night, and I promised her I would do my best job in invoking all that makes this project special. Her and her team drove this project with the partners in a remarkable way. And frankly, most of what I've learned about this project I learned from Carla, and I bet all of what I say she would say. We have so many leaders here today that I could recognize, but I just want to give another shout out to a key partner, and that's Chuck Bonham, who leads our Department of Fish and Wildlife. Managing California water and environment is a tough job, and Chuck and Carla have been at it in partnership for almost a decade. And they bring such commitment and passion and stick-to-itiveness to actually finding this balance around providing the water supply we need for our state while caring for our environment. So huge thanks to Chuck and to Carla. This day is important for me in a lot of respects, and I was reflecting on why this groundbreaking feels a little different than others. And I'll share that, to me, this project has really 4 important things going for it. First, it is the epitome of a multi-beneficial project, a project that achieves many of our key priorities at once. Consider the environmental benefit of this project: 3,400 acres of tidal restoration, the largest in the state's history. We know that this delta looks so different than 100 years ago. And those changes have benefited our local communities, certainly local farming. They provided for water supply across California, but they've also had a major impact on the environment and the habitat on which fish and wildlife depend. We know that there are species like the Delta smelt that are in big trouble as a result of these changes. And we also know that while we work to get more water pulsing through the Delta, which is an important aspect of what we need to do, we need to restore habitat. We need to get these native fish back in the habitat where they're going to thrive. And this project is critically important to this. Secondly, this project is a flood protection project. You know that this project expands the flood capacity or flood management capacity of the YOLO bypass by 40,000 acre feet, expanding the amount of water that can flow through the bypass and around communities like Sacramento in these big wet winters that we've had over the last couple of years that we know we're going to be experiencing more intensely. This project is important for our water supply. 37% of DWR's smelt mitigation for the state water project. So environmental habitat restoration actually continues to enable water supply. And this project has been even modified to help people actually get into these new navigable waterways that are being created by the project and actually experience nature. So to me, this is the best of the multi-benefit projects that we need to achieve in the state. And given all the challenges that we have, it's these multi-benefit projects that we're going to be driving forward so strongly. The second thing that makes this unique is its scale. 3,400 acres, the largest tidal habitat restoration project in the state's history. Simply put, the challenges that we have require us to work at this scale. We cannot play small ball on the restoration of habitat for our fish and wildlife, or the work that we need to do to secure our water supply into the future. We need to think big, and this project not only thinks big, it proves that we can work at a large landscape scale. The third thing that makes this project really, I think, special and a model is the way it was delivered. A public-private partnership, pay for performance, environmental improvement partners, if I'm getting that right. I know you guys as EIP and Odin, actually delivering a project with accountability for the public goals we're going to achieve. They're excited. And that's a big deal. This project, again, the largest of its kind in the state's history, got done in 6 years. And I'll be candid, I think historically in the past, our processes simply have been too slow to confront the challenges that we face. We have to move further and faster to address these challenges, whether it's environment, water supply, what have you. We need to find new ways to get these projects done. From my perspective, we have to take, at times, an experimental approach, an innovative approach, try new things, not make the perfect the enemy of the good. And that's why I'm so excited about this project. And I think being candid, if you hear from the folks that were involved in the projects, they'll tell you that new ways of doing work are difficult. They're difficult for our public agencies. They're sometimes difficult for local communities. But I want to encourage us to expand on this model, to drive more of this pay for performance, drive more of our mitigation banks. Not only will that help us do what we need to environmentally more quickly and effectively, but it'll also help deliver projects more quickly and cost effectively. So from my perspective, it's the future. The fourth thing that makes this special in my mind is the approach. This is a nature-based solution. Our Army Corps partners talk about engineering with nature. There's so much we've done over the last century using our know-how, civil engineering work, so-called gray infrastructure, that's critically important. We wouldn't be the state we are, 40 million people, the 5th largest economy in the world, if we didn't put that infrastructure in place. But we also have to recognize that a lot of the challenges we face actually have solutions that are right in front of our eyes. And it's actually restoring nature, letting nature do its thing. And this project, this multi-beneficial project that in the same acre of water is going to help endangered species recover and protect our communities from flood risk, are the nature-based solutions that we desperately need. So for all of these reasons, for the fact that this is a multi-beneficial project being delivered at a major scale in a new, innovative way, more quickly than we've done it in the past, that represents actually working with nature and helping nature help us, makes me very proud to be a tiny part of this project. And I thank you in the most sincere way possible if you had any role in this project, because this is a game changer. And if we do it right, we're going to look back years from now, decades from now, and say this was a pivotal moment where we actually made a collective commitment to redouble our efforts to move at a scale and at a pace we've never experienced in California to do what needs to be done. So thank you very much for being here.
Wade, thanks so much for capturing the significance of today and this project, and also for pulling double duty for Carla. I know she's appreciative and regretful to not be able to make it. We're going to transition to our next speaker, and for the past 35 years, Adam Davis has been working to align business interests with improved environmental outcomes. It's a model he's applied to projects throughout the country and has really perfected over time before bringing it to our state. He's the type of partner that you really want on your side. He's a visionary, he's resourceful, and if you've worked with him, you know that he's quite persistent. He's here today to talk about the need for urgency in our project delivery and the benefits of public and private partnerships. Please help me welcome the founder and managing partner of Ecosystem Investment Partners, Adam Davis.
Well, thank you, James, and thank you, Secretary Crowfoot, for those really great remarks. You heard from the Secretary how this project will provide benefits during both droughts and floods, how it helps address benefits for biodiversity in the face of climate change, and really did about as good a job as you can do talking about why this project is important. So I'd like to shift and talk a little bit about how this project got built in less than 6 years. People have talked about the difficulty of it. I want to talk about the balance that this project represents and the balance that was required to get it done. There's a balance between being careful and prudent and being urgent and having a sense of urgency. For regulatory agencies like the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the flood boards responsible for protecting farms and towns, there's a real and appropriate need to go slowly and evaluate thoroughly. For the people who worked on this land right here, for the neighbors, and for the county that depends on agriculture, big projects like this can be controversial because changes on the land can be disruptive. But as the climate changes and healthy natural systems become scarcer, they also become more valuable. The public benefits provided by nature's services are more critical every year. So the need to go slowly and carefully has to be balanced by a sense of urgency. And that's why the innovations in contracting and project delivery that allowed EIP to invest in this project are so important. The flexibility in project delivery allowed the value of this wetland restoration to be shared with the neighbors, like the Shane family that ran the cattle operation on the Bowlesby Ranch, and who successfully relocated right up the road. The jobs and economic development created by this large project allowed the county to benefit as well, while regional flood protection was also improved. And the rigorous standards required to achieve the project milestones give the regulatory agencies the opportunity to fulfill their mandates and use their powers, not just to stop bad projects, as important as that is, but to assist in bringing good projects like Lookout Slough to fruition. And that's why it's an exciting time to be in the ecological restoration business. As the need for solutions gets more urgent, there's a greater need for innovation and new sources of capital that result in new capacity to solve problems. This new capacity is what helped us all to be standing here today, less than 6 years from the day the Lookout Slough contract was signed, when past large projects have taken 10, 15 years or even more to accomplish. But all the resources in the world would not be enough without a structure to enable them to go to work. That's why the vision and persistence of the people at the Department of Water Resources has been so essential to this project. The pay-for-success contracting that DWR developed represents a meaningful step forward. It allows the public to contract for each acre successfully restored here at Lookout Slough, rather than paying for efforts, time, and materials, whether they produce results or not. This is just like how public agencies contract for all sorts of things, from pickup trucks to rocket ships, and it rewards private efforts to create public benefits. So, thank you to the leadership of the department, and in particular, to Bonnie Irving, Chris Jernell, and Charlotte Biggs, who exemplified dedication and integrity, and who, along with the leadership of Carla Nemeth, enabled a true public-private partnership. And I also have to personally thank Dave Urban, Stephanie Freed, and Glenn Williams from the EIP team for their relentless commitment to service and success. So in summary, Lookout Slough is important because it provides an example of how to get change accomplished at the pace required by a growing economy in a changing climate. We're here today celebrating the breaching of the levee because the public-private partnership between DWR and EIP got the balance right, and because this success provides a model for how to be better prepared for the future, how, working together, we can get things done. Thank you.
Adam, thanks so much for that. It's a message I think we can all relate to, and we appreciate your remarks. This next and last speaker on our agenda exemplified leadership where really we needed it most, and that was with our local partners. Solano County had a lot on the line with this project, and it really took his heavy involvement to make sure that this project not only worked for the state, but for residents and business owners who've been operating on this land for generations. His leadership brought about a new working relationship with the state that we're now enjoy the benefit of that relationship carrying over to other projects in Solano County. He's here today to talk about the regional aspects of Lookout Slough. I think he also has the best vest across the four of us. Everyone, please welcome Solano County District 4 Supervisor Mitch Mashburn to the podium.
Hey, thanks you all for being out here this morning, and thank you for the opportunity to say thank you to all of you for all the work that you put into this. The last time we were out here together, we were cutting a ribbon to start the project. And at that time, I reminded everybody that the Delta is a place, and it's a people, and it's a heritage. And today I want to talk a little bit about that heritage and where it's gotten us. So, the folks who live on this land and have lived on it for thousands of years, from the Patuino tribe to the farmers and ranchers of today, they understand that heritage and the burden of that. And they understand what it means to have to maintain balance, which is the theme today, it seems. When I say balance for us, what I mean is the balance between agriculture and the environment, because that's what we see. If you looked as you were driving up this road, you saw agriculture on one side and you saw the environment on the other. And the people that take their sustenance from this land, whether it was the tribe or it's the farmers, they understand that like no other. So a project like this that helps bring balance back to the Delta, that helps maintain that heritage that is the Delta and the people that are the Delta, it matters. So given the opportunity to step up and build those relationships and make something positive happen, Solano County decided we were going to do that. Because at some point in time, we all have to take some ownership, and we got to put a thumb on the scale in order to maintain that balance and to make sure that we can feed our people and agriculture is sustainable and agriculture works into our future. But we also have to make sure that our environment and our wildlife can survive in partnership with us in this world that we directly affect every day. So I want to thank you for this great big thumb on the scale. I want to ask that all of you make this Delta heritage part of yours, and that as we work forward in the future, we don't stop. We continue to make a difference. We continue to make a difference for agriculture, and we pledge to be a good partner in it because we do understand the need for stewardship of the environment. But I ask that all of you continue your good work in what you're doing and continue what DWR started, which was keeping agriculture in mind when we do these projects and making us a partner and giving us the opportunity to help. Thank you for being here today. Let's bust a levee.